Okay, so as we are watching different TikToks and looking at different clips today, be sure to pause the video and let us know in the comments what your reactions are. We'd love to hear your opinions.
So welcome back to the TL2D podcast. Today we're talking about paying attention when you're driving or not paying attention when you're driving. So the team can introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm James, and I'm in charge of a few things at TL2D.
Hi there, my name is Rashika, and I'm the events planner and researcher at TL2D.
Hi everyone, my name is Julie, and I'm the social media coordinator at TL2D.
And hi, I'm Jessica. I'm the outreach coordinator.
So Megan is going to play our first clip. So,
oh my goodness.
That person okay?
He was okay. He was okay, the guy, but could have been a terrible story, right? So I mean, if I was that guy, I would be buying a lottery ticket big time that day, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So what happened there?
The truck was carrying something. I didn't get a good glimpse at it, but whatever it was got caught on something above it, and the whole truck moved over and almost hit that guy.
Yeah, kind of amazing that it didn't catch by a lot, but it was enough to make the truck
send the whole
move.
truck.
Yeah.
He got hit and then he went back and he was just reading his
I
paper.
know, that's
Yeah.
so
So nothing happened.
It's like, oh yes, it goes back to reading the paper.
He just got hit and he's like reading, like, oh, let me go back
Another
to
day in the life.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So there is some kind of a frame, a big cage on the back of that truck that had some huge thing in it. I don't know, some kind of cargo. And that other car behind could have been in trouble too, because it looked like that the cargo was coming tumbling off.
Mm-hmm.
But that
And the
frame
tree
was so
fell, too.
sturdy. What's
tree,
that?
The tree also fell.
Yeah, it looked like he took that branch off. I mean, a lot of damage. And how could that have been avoided?
By knowing how close the tree was. I mean, it's really tough to gauge that though, for sure.
Well, yeah, by knowing how close the tree was for sure, but knowing the size of that cage on the back of the truck. I mean, have you ever seen a bridge where there are big chips out of the bridge because some truck tried to get underneath?
Yeah.
That didn't fit.
Yeah.
Really dangerous. So, you know, if you're going to drive a truck like that, you have to know what the size of the truck is. And that guy just wasn't paying attention to how close he was to that tree. If he'd moved 6 inches in the lane, he would have been okay.
Yeah.
You look pretty wide-eyed there, Jessica.
Yeah, he just came on to I can't believe that he went into the other lane. Yeah, I'm just surprised that there wasn't a collision with the car coming towards them as they are now in the wrong lane of traffic.
Yeah.
Like they did I guess, decent job avoiding a collision with the first car. But once you're in the opposite lane of traffic, I'm like flabbergasted.
I think I think that he chose the worst option actually. He chose to take a head-on collision instead of
a fender bender.
Behind. Yeah.
Instead of a fender bender, he chose head-on. I mean, clearly the person reacted without thinking about what they were doing.
My question is, how did he come back into his proper lane? Because like that wasn't shown in the video.
Yeah, I don't think we know.
Who knows?
Presumably because the video was posted, nobody got hurt. But Megan, can you play it again, slow it down?
Somehow he shared this footage though.
Well, it's the guy in the truck behind. We're in the truck behind or car behind.
Oh.
Oh, I thought this was the car.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Oh, he did
You're
hit the
right,
car
it is.
from.
And it sounds like we clipped that car too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it didn't continue driving. So I'm guessing he did clip it.
I don't
Yeah.
understand why or how. Like, he obviously was not paying attention at all, which is so dangerous because he's literally on the highway and there's a bunch of cars around him. I mean, like, what are you doing when you're driving? You have to look at the road. Like, it's if you scan ahead, he could have reacted and slowed down perfectly on time. There would have been no problem. But
Yeah.
instead, you know,
They're
don't-
There
super
was
lucky
a-
that that other car was paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was able to
Especially
safely get out of the
considering the
way.
speed that you're going on highways
gosh.
at.
Yeah.
Like that car, the car that was like coming directly at him, he's probably going at like 100 kilometers per hour.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's a clear view of cars ahead of you, and they're all slowing
Mhm.
down.
A
I don't-
lineup of them.
Yeah, like really don't understand how you could not know that you have to start slowing down because he obviously was not paying attention. But like that's
Yeah.
so dangerous on a highway. How are you not going to pay attention on a highway?
yeah. And so all kinds of things could have been going on in the car. Very likely electronics of some sort were involved.
That's also a good point.
Yeah,
I'm
and
curious
it,
to know what would have distracted him.
yeah.
Distracted him to the
It's-
point that he feels so disoriented that they have to go into opposing traffic.
Which is another good point. I mean, when you're driving, when traffic is slowing and you're so close together, it's very hard. But you always need to leave yourself an out, like know where you would go if something happened. And it should never be into oncoming traffic. I mean, that's the worst possible choice.
I feel like the other thing was like he already ended up hitting the car in front of him. So
Yeah,
going over
yeah.
to the other side wasn't even helping the fact. Like he didn't get away with not hitting anyone at the end of the day.
Could have caused even more damage to other cars, and like who knows what could happen.
Especially with the trucks coming. That was
Yeah.
just making me nervous.
Yeah,
Well,
some of them do
right.
make you nervous, but you know, it's funny because we're all saying he. The assumption is it's a guy driving, and that might be totally, unfair. It could have been a woman driving, but. Rashika, what were you going to say?
I
Oh,
was
sorry.
just saying that he should have just braked instead of swerving to the.
Yeah, the worst possible decision. Julie?
Oh, you're talking about how we always assumed it was men. I mean, that's not like a bad assumption because they are more like statistically, they are the more aggressive drivers. And also, I think I saw a fact that it was like statistically they kill more people in collisions than women. So I don't know, just to point that out.
And you're right. They tend to be more aggressive drivers. Although sadly, some women are catching up.
Yeah.
Okay, next clip, Megan.
I saw that before it
That's
happened.
so sad.
I know. I feel like a passenger in these vehicles sometimes. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
thing.
what do you figure happened there, James?
Whoever was driving was very distracted. I feel like he had he had time to react to what was going on, but he definitely did not notice the car slowing down in front of him, and yeah, hit them straight from behind.
Yeah, because if
And
you were
it's hard- Sorry, go
if you
ahead.
were paying attention, you would see that the white car, like in front of that car, was changing lanes, and then because of that, the car behind that car, which was like the car in
Had to
front
slow
of him,
down.
would slow down. And if he caught on to that, he would have slowed down too. But clearly, he was just going full speed.
I don't know if it was me though, but I should also note like when the person who's driving changed lanes, he also changed lanes pretty close to the car
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
front of him.
That's
So,
when I
like-
thought the collision was gonna happen, like in the video, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, never mind.
But that's why you need to be watching further down the road. If you're just following the guy ahead of you, you have very little reaction time.
There was a little more congestion over to the lane that the person of the dash cam was going over to. But yeah, it was hard to tell. But you can also see that when the dash cam driver had hit the driver in front of them, the car kind of went to the side. You could also see that white car that had merged was also kind of tilted. So I wonder if they had tried to avoid a collision themselves.
Yeah,
Could be.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. So that white car that changed lanes, I don't know if it was because of slow-mo or what, but it seemed like they took quite a while to move out of their lane and into the other one.
Yeah,
So I'm
that's what I was
wondering,
gonna say too. Like
yeah,
not
I'm
only
wondering.
that, but they were also really close to the vehicle in front of them. And I think that's why it took them a while to change lanes. Because they
Yeah.
didn't find the space to go
Yeah.
into the lane.
I feel like all those cars were like super close to each other too. Like they weren't
Mhm.
like leaving enough room. Cause like even if worse came to worse, the car in the back hit the car in the front, it like rippled in front because like everyone was just super close to one another.
That's right. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah.
Domino effect, yeah.
Yeah. Domino effect in
It
front
wasn't
there.
just one car because that one hit that one and that one hit that one. Like it just kept going.
Everybody was too close.
Mhm.
Yeah. The other thing was the music in that, right? I mean, it's you could hear the beat of that music, and I think that the music could be very distracting too.
I think one thing with like the like Julie was saying, like how everyone was really close. It's like whenever there's like traffic on the highways, everyone tends to not leave like any space between the cars because they're trying to like beat the traffic, even though you're not going to beat the traffic. But
Like-
they
like
stay
avoid the
way too close, and like
Yeah.
because of that, like that's not good. Like leave a little bit of space, even if like it's enough, because like a lot of people don't leave the space because they think like a car can merge and like take their spot or whatever. But like it's better to do that than like not have any space.
Yeah.
The minimum distance that you should leave between a car that when traffic is moving, the minimum distance you should leave is 3 seconds. And the way you calculate 3 seconds is you wait for the car ahead of you to pass a stationary object like a telephone pole. And when it passes the telephone pole, you start counting 1001, 1002, 1003. You should not be at that telephone pole until 1003 is finished. And that's leaving 3 seconds between the car ahead. I personally leave more than that, but that's the minimum distance. And when traffic is backed up like that and stopped, you should be able to see where the tires on the car ahead of you hit the ground. If you can't see where the tires on the car ahead of you hit the ground, you're too close.
Yeah.
And that's when you're stopped, right?
There was actually so little space between those cars that if you notice the car two cars in front of the person who was recording, he had to move off to like the side of the road in order to not hit the car in front of him. So
Yeah.
that was like the clear indicator.
Okay, let's move on to the next clip.
Damn, man. God, dude.
I'm just very
That's
confused
crazy.
where that truck was going, because even after the honking and stuff, he was still going all over the place.
Yeah. Well, first he wasn't in. I'm guessing that he wasn't in the left turn lane, right?
You don't have to guess what you could see from the lines on the road, right?
Yeah.
He was
it
not
did
in the
look
left
like
turn
that.
lane.
And from the looks of it, it didn't even seem like he knew what he was doing because after he
No.
made the left turn, he just stopped. Which
Okay,
is
now why do you think he stopped? Do you think it's because he's impaired in some fashion and that's why? Or do you think he was just so pissed off at the driver who was leaning on the horn that he thought, you think that was bad? I'm going to make your life miserable.
I think
Like-
so. I think it was the anger.
I think
I
so
mean,
too.
that's what mine initially went to, not to be a glass half empty type of person, but I don't know. I feel like especially that was a long honk and it didn't seem like it seemed that as the honk was going, that's when the truck had stopped. And there was also, I don't think anybody in front of the truck once the turn was made. So yeah, personally, I think it probably is because of anger.
I feel
Oh,
like
Right.
we're. Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead, Rashika.
I thought it was like I took like a different take on it. I thought it was because he was like, you know, like when someone honks at you, you get like panicked and you don't know what to do. So I thought that's what happened. But like I could be wrong.
Either way, he like stopped in the middle of
Yeah.
traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have done that either way. But
And left the car that had the dash cam like still in the intersection. So if that light had gone red and incoming traffic came, like I don't want to imagine.
Yeah. There was definitely there was probably somebody behind the person recording
sure.
waiting to make a left turn. There was definitely like a lineup. And stopping definitely kept that line back.
I don't know if he was like, oh, I missed the right lane. Let me just turn. Like, I don't know what he was thinking, but like he should have just gone straight instead because he literally moved into the way of a bunch of cars. Could have caused a crash or like who knows what could happen. And then he didn't even go. He like went. I don't even know what he was doing at the end of the video.
yeah, he was like swerving in between the roads, not knowing what to do. I was so confused.
Yeah, I was like, what is he doing? I don't know.
I wonder if he got mad and then stopped and then realized he was wrong and then kept going.
Well, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty cynical. I think the guy in the truck jumped the line and then got really ticked off because the guy leaned on the horn so much. And that's why he didn't let him through. And I mean, please, the guy in the truck was wrong. He was in the
Sure.
wrong lane. He shouldn't have done that. But you know what? I mean, just let the guy go. It's why would you put your own blood pressure up, and leaning on the horn like that?
It kept going. I thought it was gonna end, and then it kept.
I
going.
thought so too. And it just kept going and going. And then
But
he
I
feels
think like by honking in just a little bit, like the person in front of you would know that, oh yeah, I made a mistake. You don't need to continuously hold the horn.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was excessive.
Also, you don't know the people on the road. Like some people are crazy, and if you get them mad, who knows what they're gonna do? You know.
Well, like that other guy with the fire truck that we were talking about the other day, and he gets out of his car. I mean, that guy could have gotten out of his truck. So, I mean, just let him go.
Yeah. Mhm. That's the safest thing to do for sure.
And the safest thing for the truck to do, like I feel like maybe the truck took the left turn because he had to take a left turn originally and then realized he wasn't in the lane. But like I think the best thing in that case would have been like just go ahead, take like a right turn and like go around, take a U-turn and then you know what I mean? Like instead of trying to merge into that lane, but he wasn't even merging, like he was just doing whatever he wanted to. Instead of doing that, just go around and come back.
And you're right, that would have been a much better choice.
And it was so dangerous too because he just like cut in front of the guy. Like he doesn't know how the guy could have reacted. What if the guy was also not paying attention like him and like kept on going? That could have caused a crash.
And then
I,
they end up on Judge Judy. Okay, onward, Megan.
Whoa, that was almost an accident.
I was not expecting that. That was so scary. Oh my gosh.
How
That
would you
was
like to
quick
be the
reaction.
passenger in that car? Yeah.
It seemed
Maybe
like
play
that
it
truck
again.
had gone over like a couple of lanes.
Yeah.
That initial truck.
And initially when I saw that, I thought he was going into oncoming traffic, but I think it's just a really wide shoulder
I
on the
think
left
so.
side there.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And
So
just
he
kept
was pretty
driving through the
lucky.
shoulder too.
I'm sorry?
He just kept driving through the shoulder too. Like he
Yeah.
didn't stop.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one because like in one side you have one person switching like 3 or 4 lanes over at one go, and somebody who wanted to change lanes and probably didn't check their blind spot fast enough, or maybe even didn't even check it at all, but they almost ended up hitting.
I feel like in
That
that
truck.
case it's like hard because don't expect a car coming like all the way from the rightmost lane to the left one and even checking your blind spot. Like I feel like you can't like
Yeah.
predict that.
Well, you expect everybody to obey the rules, right? So when somebody blatantly doesn't, it's hard to predict what they're going to do.
Yeah, and I feel like it's one thing for you to switch like 3 or 4 lanes over, but then it's another thing for you to switch 3 or 4 lanes over and then try to get ahead of everyone afterwards too. And that's what almost caused the collision.
But the joke of it is when somebody's weaving in and out, sooner or later down the road, you end up right next to them anyway.
Ugh.
I mean, if
Yeah,
they
like-
haven't caused a collision in the meantime, right?
You're going so fast for what reason? Like,
Yeah.
everyone goes in the direction. Like, calm down.
Exactly. I mean, when there's that much traffic, you're not gonna move at the speed of light. I mean, you just have to,
Yeah.
calm yourself and go with the flow.
Why would you want to risk it? Like, there's so much traffic, so much, like, the chances of getting into a collision so much, like, higher. Just drive regularly. Why weave and, like, do all of that, you know?
And that reminds me of like on the highway when there's like those people on motorcycles and like they squeeze between the lanes and just speed up when there's like traffic. 'Cause it kind of reminds
That
me of
is terrifying. And all you have to do is go to change lanes because you can't see them coming. When they're weaving in between cars, you can't see them coming. And it would kill me if I ever knocked somebody off a motorcycle and really hurt them badly. But it's so hard to predict what they're doing, and they're so reckless when they do that, come up between lanes.
I actually have a story, but like basically on the highway, there was like a big collision. Like this was about like, I think like a few months ago, but there was like a big collision. And it was with a motorcycle and like I don't even know if that person survived or if he did, he was like critically injured because like you could see like parts, like his shoe was like off on one side, like once the thing, it was like really bad. It was like a horrible collision. And like all the cars were stopped for an hour on the highway, like including the car I was in, and we were just waiting, and like people were getting out of their cars to see like what's happening, and there were like police cars coming and coming. I think we saw like 10 police cars pull up because it was like a really bad collision. And then in the meanwhile, you see like these motorcycles, there were 2 of them, and they were just squeezing through, and it was just like it was just mind-blowing, like that the collision happened with a motorcycle and they were still like going through trying to, even though like the police has put up barriers, like you can't go past it anyways. I know like they couldn't see that at the time when they were like going through the traffic, but it's just scary that they were doing that.
Yeah, yeah. And there's something very sad about that someone on a motorcycle is badly injured or even killed, and other bikers are doing the same things that that person likely was doing.
I don't understand why they would want to risk it too, because they have less protection than people in cars, first of all.
Mm.
They even have like the exterior. So why risk it, you know?
And the fact that people were getting out of the car too, like they were getting out to see what's happening, and they could have easily like opened the door and like
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yeah, imagine having 2 big collisions in one area, right?
Yeah.
That would be horrible.
Well, it's happened before with rubbernecking and people not paying attention, right? You
Mhm.
have one collision and then something else horrible happens because people can't tear their eyes away.
Yeah, people can get really nosy.
It's a very odd thing. It has to do with human nature, but it's a very odd thing that we somehow are drawn to kind of horrific things. Anyway,
think-
another pleasant note. Sorry, what were you going to say there, Julie?
Oh no, I just was gonna say like it's probably because like it's unknown. So people are like, oh, it's like how people want to know everything, like unknown things. They're like aliens or like stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. Do we have another clip, Megan?
Dude, the is wrong with you?
Well, that's how not to merge.
How not to merge, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, who's at fault there?
Uh
I think it's a little bit of both.
I would
Yeah.
agree.
I mean, the guy had so much time to see that the car in front of him was going.
It's very clear right from the very beginning, this guy's coming in your lane.
Yep.
Dude, what the is wrong with you?
Yeah, I guess there's two sides to that. There's like the person that's merging could have just waited a little bit longer for that car to pass, and then
It was
take-
also interesting at the point that they had tried to merge because it almost seemed like the cars were side by side or just a split second, almost side by side when the car had began to fully merge.
Mhm.
But I do think still it's a little bit of both. You know, there was a lot of space, so the car that had the dash cam could have easily moved over. But also, you know, when you are merging, you have to be aware of how fast people are going and where they are when you are merging. That's also a big part too.
That's what they didn't even
And-
look.
No, and the merging vehicle had lots of room left in his lane where he could have
Mhm.
continued straight and then pulled in behind that truck.
Mhm.
So, I mean, in my opinion, it's both that are at fault there. It's the merging vehicle could have used the lane better to merge into traffic, and that other fellow had lots of notice that that vehicle was coming into his lane, and he could have moved over, he could have slowed down, you know, he could have been more courteous to allow that vehicle in. So I think
he
that
did slow down in the beginning, did he not? Like in the very beginning, and then I think they had like a little bit of confusion if he was gonna come into the lane at that time or not.
you are very kind, Rashika. You always see the best. I am a little more cynical. I don't think that fellow was slowing down for anything. But did you notice the signs overhead where they were going?
yeah, they were approaching an exit, right? I think I
Look
saw
at,
an
okay,
exit.
play it one more time, Megan. Just look at the signs overhead.
Dude, what the is wrong with you?
It was Disney World.
They're on their way to the happiest
my
place
God.
on earth.
Oh,
That to me is quite funny, you know, and here they are already. I mean, one is just in la la land, not paying attention, and the other one's already screaming at everybody on the road.
It's a
and
contrast.
someone's
here.
kids just pooped their pants.
So anyway, I just thought that was a bit funny, but I think both of them are, you know, and let's be courteous to each other on the road too. But merging is something that people need to pay attention to. And because you're on the on-ramp doesn't mean you can just pull in front of whoever's there. You've got to watch what's going on around you.
Yeah,
There was
no,
also a sign letting people know that there's a merging lane coming up, a yellow one
There was, yeah.
on the right hand side.
there wasn't that much traffic though. Like imagine if there was like it was like a busy street, like what could have happened?
Exactly. There was almost no traffic. I mean,
Yeah, there's
either
nothing.
one of them. Yeah. So bottom line, you want to be paying attention when you're driving because in a split second, everything can change. And that's all for this episode of the TL2D podcast. Please join us again.
This is TL2D signing out. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. See you on the next one.